be more excited. I really couldn't, and I will say this, couldn't be nicer guys to work with. Pete Farrelly's famous for it. Anybody's ever worked with Pete always says what a great set he has. He's so, open about suggestions and everything else. Great writer as well, so it's fun.
What is it about the project that resonated with you?
The what?
What is it about the story that resonated with you?
Well, I'll tell you what, there was a number of things. One is I knew Tony Lip for a long time, and what a character he was. And my mother was a piano player, so I loved the piano, and all of a sudden Dr. Shirley, who's a genius, and who could, really, how do you write for a genius? You can't. I mean, the world must be in slow motion for a guy like that. So, you do the best you can, and you watch these two worlds collide, and initially there's a little bit of a, but then, in the end it all works out nice. So, feel-good movie.
Of course, absolutely. It looks beautiful. Given what's going on in the world today, how do you feel that the themes and stories will resonate with audiences?
I think it's very applicable today. I mean, it's amazing, and I spoke with Pete about this, geez, God forbid we ever need a green book today. I mean, it's real, but that be the case, I'm hoping, and we all hope, that this is the kind of movie that can bring people together and put a smile on their face and go, you know what? Put people in each other's shoes, maybe people understand, and things will work out. I hope, let's hope so.
What do you think Tony would think about the project?
Tony would love it, but I will say this, and this is kind of interesting. I thought about that. Tony's world was in his apartment. His whole world was his family in his apartment. In a weird way, the world came to his apartment, right? I mean, he became a changed man, and now watching it through the prism of Tony Lip, hopefully we can, right? It's a feel-good movie. And Tony was a great guy, and I'm so happy that. And if you want to know Tony Lip, watch Viggo. He played him perfectly. Really did. Sometimes I was like, I can't believe what I'm saying. It was great.
Well, congratulations. It seems like a wonderful film, and the Oscar buzz is
that's great. Around. That's just icing on the cake. We're just so happy the movie came out great. Nobody's better than Viggo and Mahershala to work with, that's for sure.
Well, congratulations again, Brian.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
How are you doing today?
I'm awesome. This is unbelievable.
So how does it feel to have the world premiere of Green Book here at TIFF?
Well, it's just the journey to get it to this point is still it's crazy, But for me, it's not just another film. It's a little more, obviously more emotional. So it makes it that much more surreal. It's about my dad. To have Viggo play my dad, it's nuts. But Viggo, Mahershala, Linda, Cardellini playing my mom. Just even during the filming, for me, it's a little bit different, as you could probably imagine.
What do you think your father would think about this right now if you were here?
Oh, my father would just go, yeah, well, it's about me. I expect, so no big deal. But he would love it. He would really have, we've been talking about making this movie for a long, long time. My whole life, actually. And to have it finally happen is quite astonishing.
So you was aware of the project or your interest in the project?
Oh, yeah. I started writing parts of this for years and years. He told me the stories. I taped him telling me the stories. Dr. Shirley told me the stories, and it was always a matter of when could we do it the right way. And this was the when. We got awesome director, the actors. It came together nicely.
How do you feel that the themes and stories of the film will resonate with audiences today?
I think completely. Things have changed, but some things haven't changed. And I think some of it's a history lesson to show some people who don't know or remember, hey, you think it's bad now. It was bad then, but some of the things are still going on. To me, it's a love story. It's a love story between my mother and father, a love story between two men, completely different men. But it shows with love, you can come together.
Absolutely. What are you hoping that audiences take away from the film tonight?
I hope they get that message. And I hope, a lot of these movies tend to anger people, and I hope this makes people feel good at the end.
Well, your father will be very proud.
Thank you very much.
Enjoy your evening.
Thank you.
How excited are you to have the premiere of Green Book here at TIFF?
Very. I've been here many times. It's a great festival. One of the reasons is because it's not a award ceremony type festival, and so I know that the people that are going to be inside the Roy Thompson movie theater tonight, that they're going to mostly be people that stood in line and bought tickets because they want to see our movie. And I'm excited to see it for the first time with a real ticket-buying public. And I know it's a good movie. I'm proud of it, and I hope they feel the same. I can't wait for my family and my friends to see it. Unfortunately, they're going to have to wait a little. People that are in here tonight are lucky they get to see it first.
What are you hoping that audiences take away from the film tonight?
I guess broad strokes, that there's no one you can't get along with, there's no one you can't learn something from, and that no one has a monopoly on the right to learn and understand about others. And I think in large part the movie is about the benefits that can come to an individual and to society at large from an honest effort to do that, to learn and understand and even tell stories about it, like Green Book. But nobody has a right to say, I can only talk, I'm the only person or I'm the only group that can speak about this. It's not that way. I mean, it kind of turns a lot of, I guess, misconceptions on their head, story-wise. I don't want to ruin it for you, but you'll see.
What do you think it is about, it's a story that's of a period. Do you feel that the themes resonate today with what's going on in our world?
Yeah, and perhaps more easily because it is a period piece, because it's at a remove, it's 1962, and there's not much to argue about in terms of the way things were back then for African Americans, points of view that they had, points of view that whites had in different parts of North America, and that's kind of undisputable. But by having it set at that remove, you're able to see how far we still have to go in some respects, or where we've slid backwards a bit, or politicians have maybe encouraged us, or our leaders or supposed leaders have encouraged us to give free rein to prejudices and sort of ugly ways of addressing others and dealing with them that many people might have thought that were in the past. Unfortunately, they're not. But if you make a movie that's set in our time, people are so polarized about that it's hard to come to any agreement about what the story, or even pay attention to a story. The fact that it's set in an earlier time, pre-civil rights era, I think makes it easier to see parallels with today.
How was the responsibility for you playing a real person, playing Tony Lip?
Well, I got a lot of help. I was worried about that. I've never played an Italian American, but I'd never played anyone from New York City either. I was born in New York City, and I've never played someone from there, so I liked that. But there are a lot of great Italian American actors and portrayals of Italian American characters in the movie, so I was kind of worried about being up to the standard of the best of them. But I got so much help from the Vallelonga family, Nick Vallelonga and his family, about just things about mannerisms, the way of speaking, mindset of their dad, Tony Lip, that I stopped worrying about it after a while, because I had a vote of confidence from them as we got into it, and that helped me a lot. And Nick was there every day on the set, so I have to say Nick was my constant resource.
Very proud of you.
Thank you.
What does it feel like to have the world premiere of Green Book here at TIFF?
It feels great. It feels great. It's so much fun, and it's so much fun to see everybody. You make a film, and you go away from it for a while, and everybody does different things, and then you come back, and you sort of get a chance to recapture the feeling of making it, and everybody is really happy. So it's nice, and it seems like it's being well received, so there's a sense of joy about everything.
What was it about Dolores that resonated with you?
I identified with a lot of it. I grew up around, I'm Italian American. I grew up around a lot of families that are big and Italian, and so I felt like I knew her. And I called and I talked to lots of different family members, and we were so lucky because they were so generous with their time and information. And everybody had only good things to say about Dolores. I mean, she really was the heart of the family. So that part was really fun. And I felt like I feel like I know this person. And I was talking to Nick, and I said, "Hey Nick, when's your mom's birthday?" Because I was trying to think astrologically, if that has any bearing on. You're always kind of grasping for things and trying to pick up things to build the character. And I said, "Oh, June 25th, which is my birthday." So our mouth sort of hit the floor, and I said, that can't be. That's my birthday. But we had so many wonderful connections to the family, and I got to read her real letters, I got to wear her real jewelry, I had her rosary bead. They were very generous with the actual things that they cherished, and everybody misses her. So I think it's really beautiful that this family sort of honors her in a way, as well as the relationship between Tony and Dr. Shirley and all of what that means.
So what is it about this film that you think will resonate specifically today?
I think, clearly the idea of the difficulty in race relations and class relations and all the divisiveness. And I think sometimes when there's a film that takes place not in the present day, when things are as polarizing, that you can look back and that was history, that was pre-civil rights, and you can look at it that way. I think maybe you could hold a mirror up to nature at this point in time and see what the parallels are, and how far we have come and how far we have to go.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
How excited are you to have the film premiering at TIFF?
I mean, this is just the best time of the year to be a part of a festival, and to be a part of this esteemed festival was wonderful because Toronto is amazing. And then it's a great film. I feel very lucky that they asked me to be a part of it in any capacity, and to be surrounded by this caliber of talent. I feel like it's an embarrassment of riches for me to say no. Why would I say no?
What was it about reading the script that really drew you into the project?
Well, I grew up hearing about the Green Book. So when I read the title of it, I was like, the Green Book, is it that Green Book? And the fact that it was, such a key element to the story of these two men from very disparate backgrounds and how they bonded during a very tumultuous time in history, I just, I leapt at the chance to be a part of it.
What are you hoping that today's audiences will take from a period piece like this?
I think that they have to have ears that listen and mouths that speak, but you got to have both. You got to, talk to each other. You got to have eye contact, and you got to listen. That's what happened. How those friendships forged and I don't know, remained, because people were able to set aside their differences and learn from each other.
Well, congratulations! It's a wonderful project.
Thank
Best
you.
of luck on Oscar season.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
How excited are you to have this world premiere here at TIFF?
I'm really excited. We've been wanting to share it for a long time, and we did, you always in a film like this, you're going to do focus groups and family and friend screenings and whatnot, so it's nice to finally say it's finished and you're sharing it with the public in a real way.
What are you hoping audiences will take away from the film?
I hope they're inspired. I hope they see the capacity of us as people to be ourselves, to be very different, but sort of discover that there are ways in which we can be close and work together and still consider ourselves friends, but have very different opinions.
Upon reading the script, what was it that particularly drew you to this character, to this project?
First, Don Shirley just popped off the page in such an extraordinary way, and I had never played anything like that. And honestly, I've never seen that guy on the screen before. So selfishly, that, and I think also the story was so strong. It wasn't so often if you read something that they're not going to shoot for 6 months. It's sort of like in that draft version where you could see its potential. It was so close to being complete, like ready to shoot. So I love that. And then lastly, I was so excited to be in such close proximity with Viggo and working with Pete, and just having that opportunity to do such a small story together and spend so much time with both of them, that I don't think you could spend that kind of time with an actor of that caliber and not improve. So.
You don't have much room for
Yeah, no, I hope I do. Because I want to be around for a long time. So.
I imagine that
Thank you.
will. When it comes to a period piece like this,
Yeah.
what do you think will resonate with audiences today about this story and these themes? What are you hoping today's audiences will understand?
I think there's a real potential in people seeing a little bit of mirroring between the segregation of that time and the segregation of ideas that we live in now. So it's not as much about and it's still there in terms of like our communities being segregated in certain parts of at least the United States. But now we really are living more in a time of conservatives over here, liberals over here, and there's no cross-pollinating of ideas or experience. And if you don't have that, whatever great ideas or really true ideas that this group has and vice versa, there's no cross-pollinating to happen for them to influence one another in a positive way and therefore actually get to know each other. And I think in some ways, I think the film engages and tackles that in some capacity.
Enjoy the premiere this evening.
Thank you.
Audiences are gonna love it.
Thank you.
How excited are you to be having the world premiere here at TIFF with us?
Oh, it's great. I've never had a world premiere at any film festival in my life. You know, we weren't being, no one was knocking down the doors to show Dumb and Dumber at, TIFF. But no, it's a real honor, and I love Toronto. It's great being here and see the whole gang. It's something I'm not used to, and so it is a real high.
What are you hoping audiences are going to take away from the film this evening?
I hope people realize that it's really a buddy story, and it's about two guys who are complete opposites. Black concert pianist with 5 doctorates and an Italian bouncer from New York City with a 6th grade education who really didn't pay much attention in school after 3rd grade. And it's these two guys who's actually racist himself to begin with, and it's these two guys being put in a car and realizing gradually, incrementally, they're not that different, and that's what the message is in this thing, that we're all the same, and if the more we talk to each other and get to know each other, the more we would love each other.
So how did this project come to you? How did you and Nick and Brian get together to create this beautiful story about Nick's father, Tony?
I got lucky. I bumped into Brian. I got lucky. I bumped into Brian Currie, who I'd been in one of my movies as an actor. And I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "I'm writing a screenplay." I said, "Oh, what is it?" And he told me the story. The black concert pianist had to go through the South, 1962, and he was afraid to go. So he hired a bouncer from the Copacabana, an Italian guy, 6th grade education, and the two of them hit the road. And I was like, "That's a home run. That's a crazy story. I love that." So I kept thinking about it. And about 2 months later, I called him up. I said, "How's that script coming?" He goes, "Which one?" I said, "The one you told me about." He goes, "Well." I said, "The concert pianist and the bouncer." He goes, "Oh, we haven't even begun that." I said, "Well, if you would like, I'd like to write it with you. I really like that." And he's like, "Really? Awesome." So we started it the following Monday and we kicked it out. And that's how it began.
And to have such support from the family behind you, how does it feel to sort of bring this to fruition after all that effort?
It feels great. It all came together nicely. There's so many things that could go wrong in making a movie, and there's so many. It's always hard. It's just hard. It's getting harder. There's less movies now. It's very that aren't superhero movies or big sci-fi things. So it's hard to get a movie made to begin with. But to end up with Viggo Mortensen and Mahershala Ali as your leads is just like one of those blessings that you're like. As soon as we got them, I knew we were going to have a home run, and I was just praying that we'd get to this point, and we did.
Well, I wish you all the best. Enjoy the premiere. It's a fantastic film.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.